After my family went bankrupt, I was forced into an arranged marriage with the eldest son of the Hawk family. Instead, I ended up fooling around with his younger brother. Late one night, Sean had me pinned against the wall. "That old cripple can't get it up. I'll take care of you," he whispered. Just then, the old cripple he was talking about rolled into view in a wheelchair, then stood up with surprising grace. "Is that so? I'm afraid I can't let that happen. And another thing, trying to steal my husband right in front of me? Isn't that a little disrespectful?" After my family went bankrupt, I had no choice but to go along with my parents' plan for me to marry into the Hawk family. The eldest Hawk's son, Edward, was supposedly disabled. Rumor had it he was eccentric, moody, and gay. But the Hawks were filthy rich and powerful, so there was still an endless line of people willing to marry him. For some reason, though, the Hawks were the ones who extended an olive branch to me. The only connection I had to the Hawks was my scumbag ex-boyfriend. His last name was Hawk, too, but I'd always thought he was dead broke. Gary Vance was the biggest playboy in our social circle. My motto was love him and leave him. At my bachelor party, I was slurring my words, bragging to my friends. If it wasn't for his family's money, I wouldn't even give him the time of day. One drink after another went down, and my mind went numb with alcohol. I thought about my ruined family, and all the misery came flooding back, forcing me to bottle it all up again. My sick mom, my overbearing dad, my sister still in school, the debt collectors. Damn it! My buddy Mason yelled over the noise, "At least he's rich, right? I've got a friend who's seen him. Says he's not only covered in acne scars and a scraggly beard, but he's also ruthless, a stone-cold killer. This great Mr. Hawk apparently keeps a Tibetan Mastiff as a pet at home. Anyone who pisses him off gets thrown to the dog and eaten alive." I grimly shoved my beer bottle into his mouth. "Can you say something nice? If not, just drink." Mason blinked, then chugged a few gulps of beer. "I'm just worried about you, man," he mumbled. Mason and I were pure partners in crime. We'd been getting into trouble together since we were kids. His family had their downfall early. Now it was my family's turn. Misery really does love company. Taking a good look at him, I realized Mason's face was actually pretty handsome, and his body wasn't bad either. "Hey, why don't we just shack up?" The words were barely out of my mouth before Mason was shaking his head frantically. "We're not compatible. We're both tops. Besides," he added, "I'm not in your league. Your list of ex-boyfriends could form a line stretching all the way to DC." I leaned in for a closer look. He wasn't wrong. Mason had full red lips, perfect teeth, and delicate features. Looking down, he had long legs and a slim waist, a hot commodity in our scene. I gave him a wink and a wicked grin. I could top for love. My hand slid onto his thigh. Mason suddenly jumped up, his voice dropping to a whisper. 3 o'clock. Check out that absolute 10. I turned around, and the man happened to look our way. The moment our eyes met, my heart skipped a beat. On any other day, I would have been over there hitting on him already. But tomorrow, I was supposed to be marrying that guy from the Hawk family, complete with a full-blown wedding. I really didn't want to get caught cheating on day one. Let's keep drinking. After a few more rounds, my bladder was about to burst. I staggered toward the restroom and ran into the same gorgeous man, who was also there to answer nature's call. Fueled by liquid courage, I let out all the frustration I'd been holding in for days. By the time I realized what I was doing, I was already pressed right up against him. The position we were in was incredibly suggestive. Inside the narrow bathroom stall, our bodies were flush against each other. A wave of heat washed over me, my brain burning hot. Everything about this man was tailor-made to my tastes. I reached out and gave his peck a hard squeeze. God, that felt good. I lifted my hand and hooked his chin. "You're built so damn fine. Too bad I can't take you home tonight. If this were any other day, I would have already." The man raised an eyebrow. "You would have what?" I'd had a lot of boyfriends, but none of them were as ridiculously tempting as the man in front of me. I gave his sexy lips a quick peck. "I would have jumped your bones by now." With that, I calmly pushed him away and went to the sink to splash cold water on my face. I couldn't be impulsive. My family was waiting on the Hawk family's bailout money. The creditors had given us a 2-month extension on account of the Hawks. If the marriage fell through, my family was finished. The man followed me out, smoothing out his wrinkled suit jacket. That suit he was wearing was not cheap. It was custom made by a top designer. Before my family went broke, I'd wanted to get one myself. But I could never get an appointment. The designer simply wasn't taking new clients. The man said nonchalantly, "The name's Hawk, by the way." I felt a deep sense of regret. What a coincidence. The guy I'm marrying tomorrow is also named Hawk. Are all you Hawks this good looking? The man's eyes showed a flicker of confusion. I continued muttering to myself, so how did I end up with the freakishly ugly one? Oh, cruel world. You're so unfair. If you'd let me marry someone this handsome, I'd willingly work to pay off my family's debt myself. I fled the bathroom as fast as I could. One more second with that man, and I was afraid I'd lose control and pounce on him like a starving wolf. On my first day as a member of the Hawk family, I was hit with a bucket of cold water. Edward didn't show up for the wedding. His younger brother, Sean, walked me through the entire ceremony instead. Hey, brother-in-law.
I'm Sean.
My brother had something come up today, so he couldn't make it. Sean smiled brightly as he took my hand and led me down the aisle. He slipped the ring on my finger in front of all the stunned guests. A wedding between two men was already absurd enough, but having the groom's younger brother stand in for him was something else entirely. It was unheard of, but given the Hawk family's power, no one dared to say a word against it. Wow, I don't know how that Gary guy got so lucky. Even though it was an arranged marriage, they'd made it into a massive spectacle. Drones hovered overhead, and a full camera crew filmed the whole thing. After exchanging rings, Sean even kissed the back of my hand and whispered in my ear, "Gary, you look beautiful, just as beautiful as in my dreams." Sean was wearing a white suit identical to mine, complete with a bow tie and a boutonniere. It was as if he were the real groom. All I could do was force a smile and reply, "Sean, stop being crazy." Sean was actually Edward's biological brother. We were together for 3 years, and I never knew a thing. When I met Sean, he was just some broke kid with nothing to his name. To be precise, I was his sugar daddy for 3 years. He was good looking and great in bed. The money I gave him each month wasn't a small amount, but compared to the Hawk family fortune, it was a drop in the ocean. And so, a strange and absurd wedding came to an end. After the ceremony, a servant showed me to the bridal suite to rest. I was about to collapse from exhaustion, so I just fell onto the bed and passed out. I didn't care whether the great Mr. Hawk was coming tonight or not. It would be better if he didn't. I knew plenty of ways to please a disabled man, but I just wasn't willing to do it. In a hazy, half-asleep state, I felt someone nibbling on my lips. I sat up and swung a slap. Who the fuck is eating my face? Then I switched on the bedside lamp. I saw who it was, Sean, with a bright red handprint on his cheek. "Sean, what are you doing?" Sean licked his lips, his gaze intensely predatory. "Gary, it's me. That old cripple can't get it up. I'll take care of you." I smelled the strong scent of alcohol. Sean's eyes were clear, but his brain was probably completely sloshed. I shoved him away. "What are you doing, Sean? Standing in at the wedding was one thing, but you want to stand in for the wedding night, too?" Sean lunged at me eagerly. "I can do it. I've got all the right equipment, and none of it's missing." That's when I realized that my clothes had been stripped off. I was lying there, completely exposed to Sean. I quickly grabbed the blanket and covered myself. Sean was extremely drunk. He collapsed next to me and started talking nonsense. "Gary, I regret it. I miss you so much. Marry me. Okay? I have everything he has, and I can give you even more. Will you get back together with me?" Sean's hands and feet were also getting restless, starting fires all over the place. I slapped him again. The red marks on both his cheeks were perfectly symmetrical now. "Sean, what is your problem?" Sean was the one who broke up with me, saying he was bored. We had an amicable split. Money and feelings were settled. What was he trying to pull now? Suddenly, the quiet sound of a wheelchair rolling came from the doorway. The old cripple Sean had been talking about appeared, then stood up with surprising grace. Is that so? I'm afraid I can't let that happen. And another thing, trying to steal my husband right in front of me? Isn't that a little disrespectful? When I heard Sean call him Big Brother, it finally clicked. The gorgeous man I met at the bar last night was actually Edward. And he wasn't disabled at all. His legs were perfectly fine. Sean sobered up a bit, scrambling off the bed and quickly putting his clothes back on. He stared at Edward in shock. What are you doing back? And your legs, how are they okay? Edward slowly walked over, his steps deliberate and heavy. The soft tap of his leather shoes echoed on the floor. It's my wedding night. How could the groom not show up? He walked straight to me and softly called out, Gary? I froze. That handsome face was right in front of my eyes. I couldn't help but remember last night, how I'd run my mouth. Not only flirting with him, but also threatening to have my way with him. It was a moment of pure social suicide. Could I just dig a hole and crawl into it? Edward let out a soft laugh. What was it you said last night? Don't remember? He even specifically told me his last name was Hawk. I was such an idiot for not putting it together. How many Hawks could there be in Chicago? I awkwardly raised a hand and said, I don't remember any of it. I drank too much last night, I don't remember a thing. With that, I flopped back onto the bed and pulled the covers over my head. My embarrassing tears soaked the little blanket. I buried my entire body under the covers, but my ears were still pricked up, secretly listening to what was happening outside. Edward said to Sean, aren't you leaving? We're about to do what married couples do. Are you sure you want to stick around and listen through the wall all night? Edward paused, then added, I don't think you'd be able to handle it. Sean shot back angrily. He loved me for 3 years. He still has feelings for me. You're just the unwanted third wheel. Edward adjusted his glasses, his expression flawless. Doesn't matter. I'm his husband now. Sean pressed on. I was with him for 3 years. I know everything he likes, what his favorite positions are, where he's most sensitive. Edward remained perfectly calm. I'm his husband now. Fuck. Sean's eyes were red with anger. He turned and stormed out, cursing under his breath. You just wait. I'm not giving up. Gary will be mine sooner or later. Edward replied, that day will never come. Sean completely broke down, stumbling out of the room. Just as he reached the door, Edward delivered the final blow. Next time you see him, you should call him brother-in-law. I couldn't help but let out a laugh. I never thought I'd see the day Sean got put in his place. When we were together, I was usually the one catering to him. As I was laughing, the blanket over my head was suddenly lifted, and I breathed in a bit of fresh air. Edward was standing by the bed, leaning over me. Gary Vance. I instinctively glanced at his legs. The dark suit pants clung to the lines of his legs, making them look even longer and straighter. How could such a beautiful pair of legs get a reputation for being crippled? Seeing me dazed, Edward leaned close to my ear and whispered, Honey? Realizing he was talking to me, a wave of heat quickly spread across my cheeks. Wait, I'm a grown man. Why is being called that making me feel so weirdly shy? I choked a little and sat up, leaning against the headboard. What's up? Edward's expression turned serious, and his voice became a little colder. We're married now, so there are some things we need to discuss up front. About the Hawk family rules. My relaxed state of mind instantly tensed up. Sean's little drama had made me careless. I'd forgotten what a dog-eat-dog world the Hawk family inhabited. They said Edward was a ruthless killer, cruel, and unpredictable. Now, with his serious and formal demeanor, it all seemed to fit. Am I going to die horribly on my wedding night? Would I be black and blue, or in pieces? Edward's clear voice rang out. Regarding what Sean just said, I feel it's my duty to know. After all, I don't want us to be incompatible in bed. Also, my needs can be quite high. Can you handle 5 times a week? And one more thing. Since you're married to me now, you have the right to know everything about the Hawk family. You can do whatever you want. I won't restrict your freedom. Just be home every night. Took me a moment to process. Everything about the Hawk family, even if I could know, I wouldn't dare. So he doesn't want to kill me, he wants to fuck me to death? 5 times a week? He'd die of exhaustion, and I'd end up getting abused by nurses in a retirement home. Wait, could his leg injury be from being too wild? How could someone so handsome be so? Even though he was gorgeous, with an amazing chest, and built exactly to my taste from head to toe. And from what I could see, he was impressively endowed. But still, I had to fight for my future sexual well-being. Edward didn't seem as scary as the rumors made him out to be. I carefully watched his expression and said tactfully, "Isn't that a little excessive? For the sake of our mutual health, I think a little moderation would be better." Edward's long fingers loosened his tie, his Adam's apple bobbing. "Okay, whatever you say." We settled on 3 times a week. I secretly scratched my butt, grateful to it for saving my life. Edward went to take a shower. I lay in bed waiting for a while, but he took so long that I just fell asleep on my own. I'd been so busy all day, I couldn't stay awake. I completely forgot what was supposed to happen tonight. In my groggy state, I thought I heard a thud, but I was so deep in sleep that I just figured it was a dream, smacked my lips, and rolled over to continue sleeping. When I woke up the next morning and saw the empty, cold bed next to me, my heart sank. Where was Edward? Where did my gorgeous, super hot husband go? My phone was blowing up with messages from Mason. "I didn't dare bother you all night, didn't want to kill the mood. So, how was the wedding night? Exciting? Your disabled husband, is everything functional? Are you at the hospital or at home? Need me to come check on you? Same old place tonight? Got a new guy to introduce you to. You'll love his look. That last one just pissed me off. Don't even ask. I fucking fell asleep last night, and he didn't even touch me. And let me tell you, he's so hot. It's that god from the bar. I feel like I should go buy a lottery ticket." Mason went silent, then slowly typed out a question mark. "He didn't touch you? Is it possible that he's all show and no go? With a beauty like you right there, he managed to resist? That's not right." I fell silent too. Could it be true? Edward's package looked so impressive. Could it be that it doesn't work? Is that why he hid in the bathroom all night? And he deliberately mentioned 5 times a week. Such a handsome face, such a great body, and he's celibate? What a disgrace. It's a total waste of a masterpiece. I washed up and went downstairs. The servants had already prepared breakfast. Edward was sitting in his wheelchair, looking out the window. Hearing my footsteps, he turned his head to look at me. "You're awake?" With a heavy heart, I walked over to him. "It's okay. I'll be understanding. So what if he's celibate? We'll fix it." I then proceeded to order the kitchen to make him sea cucumber and lamb soup, sea cucumber and duck stew, and to cook leeks, oysters, and beef in every way imaginable. At lunch, I specifically moved all those dishes in front of Edward. His eyes darkened as he looked at me. His lips pressed into a thin line, and his brow furrowed. He clearly understood what these dishes meant. I held my bowl and started chowing down. "Don't be shy. Go on, eat." Just a little while ago, I was eating plain buns with pickles with a spicy stick as an occasional treat. Oh my God. The food at the Hawk estate is so delicious. My mouth was watering so much it looked like I was crying. If it weren't for this marriage, I'd probably be washing dishes in some restaurant right now. Thinking of this, I put a couple more helpings on Edward's plate. "This'll get your strength back." Then I buried my head in my food. Edward's face was so dark you could have used it for calligraphy ink. "What is the meaning of this?" Edward's voice was filled with resentment. I was so busy stuffing my face that I didn't realize I'd spoken my thoughts out loud. "You don't have to feel insecure. I don't mind. So you're taking a break from sex? Just eat some of this and you'll be back in business. And you don't have to hide in the bathroom all night." Edward raised an eyebrow, a glint in his eye, and said through gritted teeth, "Did I give you the wrong impression last night? Gary Vance, tonight you're going to test for yourself whether I can perform or not." Just then, the doctor walked in with his medical bag, and the two of them started discussing Edward's leg right in front of me. I sat on the side, not knowing where to put my hands or feet. Edward said to the doctor, "Yeah, it happened last night. I slipped and fell. I've been able to stand for longer periods lately, but I can't hold it for too long. It hurts occasionally. As I listened, I suddenly realized I might have made a huge mistake. Edward's leg wasn't fully healed. Yesterday, to maintain his image, he had forced himself to go to the bedroom to shower alone and ended up falling. Now his leg injury had flared up, and he temporarily couldn't stand. Looking at his inflamed legs, I felt incredibly guilty. If I hadn't been sleeping so soundly last night, I would have noticed something was wrong sooner. I'm sorry. It's my fault. I'm not a good husband, and I even doubted his performance in that department. Thankfully, it was just his leg that wasn't working, not the other thing. My sexual happiness for the rest of my life was barely saved. Sean was standing nearby, laughing with schadenfreude. Serves you right for showing off, for peacocking around. Now you're getting what you deserve. Your leg is shot, so what are you trying to prove? Didn't want Gary to know you're a cripple, huh? Sean clicked his tongue again. A cripple should just stay in his wheelchair. Don't worry, I'll take good care of your husband for you. With that, Sean gave me a suggestive wink. Edward shot him a sharp glare that shut him up. Edward had missed the wedding yesterday because his leg had suddenly acted up, and he had to go to the hospital for treatment. But the wedding date was set and the guests had arrived. So Sean had taken it upon himself to stand in on stage. Totally out of line. For the next few days, Edward was so busy I barely saw him, and I was busy with my own things. I put together a resume and started looking for a job. At one of the companies I interviewed with, I saw Mason. He was wearing a respectable black suit, bowing and scraping to a stone-faced CEO, looking like a total suck-up. After my interview, I immediately went to find Mason. Is he your new target? Mason sighed. He's an ex. He's forcing me to be his assistant. Otherwise, he'll make it impossible for me to survive in Chicago. I frowned. How come I never knew you dated such a big shot? Seeing Mason stammer, I felt a mix of anger and disappointment. He probably got tricked into it again and was too scared to tell me. If I hadn't run into him today, he probably would have never brought it up. So what's the deal now? This is it. The salary he's offering is actually pretty high. I'll explain everything in detail later, once I figure it out myself. Mason and I grew up together. I knew him better than anyone. He might seem carefree on the surface, but he's actually very stubborn. Once he sets his mind on something, he doesn't change it. He must have really liked the stone-faced CEO. Otherwise, he wouldn't be letting himself be pushed around like this. Enough about us. Let's talk about you. Is your hot husband a beast in bed? Just the mention of Edward made me want to facepalm and laugh bitterly. It's hard to believe we've been married for almost a week and still haven't had any deep conversations. First, because of Edward's leg, and second, because of that jackass Sean. We finally got the atmosphere right and were about to get down to business when Sean knocked once and walked right in. Brother, there's a problem at the office. It was a spur-of-the-moment thing, and normally no one would dare enter Edward's room, so we'd forgotten to lock the door. I quickly pulled the covers over myself. A vein popped on Edward's forehead, his anger reaching its peak. Sean, get out. If you ever dare to set foot in this room again, I'll chop you up and feed you to the dogs. Sean had a guilty look on his face, but there was a glint of triumph in his eyes. Sorry, brother, for interrupting. I'll be more careful next time. He then turned to me. Oh, hey there, brother-in-law. What are you hiding for? It's not like I haven't seen it all before. I know every inch of your body better than my brother does. The next second, Edward grabbed a water glass from the table and threw it where Sean was standing. It shattered on the floor. Sean, that's enough. Sean had always been a jerk, but I never expected him to be so brazen in front of Edward. Time and time again, he would make lewd comments about me right in front of him. He just grinned and said, "Don't be mad, brother. I'll get out of your hair right now." After he ruined the mood like that, neither of us was interested anymore. Mason sighed. By the way, why did you suddenly decide to look for a job? Isn't the Hawk family rich enough to support you? Is your husband a cheapskate or something? Although I was nominally rich after the marriage, my bank account was still in the negative. I was still broke. It was tough. Edward had already given my family so much money to pay off their debts I was too embarrassed to ask for more. As I was complaining, I suddenly felt a chill run down my spine. Mason's expression went from gossipy to horrified, and he started winking at me frantically. I turned around. Edward was standing right behind me, a tiny smile playing on his lips. A wave of cold shot up from the soles of my feet to the top of my head. I quickly mouthed to Mason, "I didn't just say anything bad about him, did I?" Mason shook his head. The stone-faced CEO walked over with him. "I pay you $30,000 a month to stand around and gossip on company time? Come on, let's go." Mason was dragged away by his collar. I looked up at Edward sheepishly. He probably didn't hear anything, right? Edward didn't say anything, just glanced at his watch. It was almost the end of the workday. Let's go home. In the car, I sat meekly in the back seat with Edward. I tried to press myself against the window. Edward's presence was too intense, I didn't dare get close. Noticing my small movements, the man glanced at me. Afraid of me? I shook my head. No, not at all. Anyone who's been caught bad-mouthing someone would feel guilty, right? Edward said, "There's enough room between us for an elephant." I thought to myself, what a lame joke, but I still timidly scooted a little closer, keeping my body still. Edward suddenly told the driver to raise the partition between the front and back seats. As he moved closer, I felt my whole body tense up. Even before his body reached me, his unique, crisp scent did. It was really nice. Edward's voice was nice, too. "Gary, I hope we can communicate like a normal married couple. There are some things you can just tell me. I'll do my best to accommodate you, because I can't rule out that I might forget when I'm really busy." "Okay." I nodded frantically. Edward was surprisingly easy to talk to. I thought his cold face meant he was going to lecture me. After that, we talked a lot more, with Edward initiating all the topics. The man exuded an air of refined elegance in his conversation. So different from a bankrupt, good-for-nothing rich kid like me. But talking to him was very comfortable. He was effortlessly charming while also being respectful. As we were talking, he pulled a few cards out of his suit pocket. "These are my personal cards. The pin is our wedding date. You can use them as you like, without any worries. We're a legally married couple now, so our assets should naturally be shared." Holding a stack of high-limit credit cards, I couldn't help but feel a little more fond of Edward. Is this what they call the power of money? When we arrived, the driver got the wheelchair out of the trunk. I got out of the car and went over to help Edward. His leg was much better after treatment, but it wasn't fully recovered. After getting out of the car, I looked at the magnificent building in front of us and the two big words on it, "Hotel." My ears started to burn. "What's this?" Edward let out a soft laugh and looked at me with a sidelong glance. "What do you think?" I instantly understood what he meant and cleared my throat. "Why not go home? I heard hotels can have hidden cameras. It's not safe. Don't worry, it's a Hawk hotel. No one would dare. Except maybe Edward himself." "But is your leg okay?" I asked the doctor. "This level of exercise is fine." I'd always prided myself on being a master of romance, but at this moment, I couldn't help but feel my cheeks flush. It was the first time I was seriously discussing this kind of thing, and the other person was my husband, whom I'd only known for a short time. "So, shall we get started?" Edward slowly stood up from the wheelchair and leaned in to kiss me. I was worried about his leg, so I instinctively stood on my tiptoes to meet his kiss. To be honest, from the first time I saw Edward, I was deeply attracted to his face and body. I'm all about looks, and my body follows my heart, so I was already lost in his gentle charm. After the curtains were drawn, only a single lamp by the bed remained, flickering on and off, on and off. This time, there was no Sean to interrupt, and everything went very smoothly. But my opinion of Edward changed again. That man is secretly a devil. He even incorporated the wheelchair, to the point that I could never look at it the same way again. By the time Sean sniffed us out and arrived, the battle was already over. When I opened the door, Sean was squatting on the floor like a lost dog. Hearing the door open, he immediately staggered to his feet. His eyes were bloodshot as he stared at my hand, which was held tightly by Edward, the warmth of his palm spreading through mine. "You too." Edward didn't even spare him a glance. As we passed by, Sean grabbed my other hand. "Gary, if I had been the one to marry you, If he wasn't here, would we still have a chance? Edward shoved him away and said sternly, out of respect for the fact that you're also a hawk, I've been very tolerant. Sean, don't push me. But Sean just stared at me stubbornly, with the eyes of an abandoned puppy. Gary, his deep affection just made me want to laugh. Sean, stop acting crazy in front of me. I haven't even settled the score with you for last time. Why come here now just to humiliate yourself? You already gave me the answer, didn't you? The usually carefree man was now frozen in place, his eyes filled with regret. Watching our retreating backs, Sean murmured to himself, but I regret it. When I went to the hospital to see my mom, Edward came with me. As soon as we walked into the room, my mom looked at me with tears in her eyes. Gary, you're here. She spoke with difficulty, squeezing out each word from her throat. Before she got sick, my mom doted on me the most. Now, lying in her hospital bed, worn down by illness, her temples had turned white and wrinkles had appeared at the corners of her eyes, but you could still see the beauty of her youth. When she was young, my mom was a famous beauty in this part of Chicago. She also married my dad through an arranged marriage. My dad was the son of a nouveau riche man, with a hot temper but famously devoted to his wife. My mom never really suffered. Because of the marriage and the bankruptcy, I hadn't been to see her for a few days. My dad had been staying at the hospital to take care of her. I couldn't help but get teary-eyed. But my mom didn't know about the bankruptcy or my marriage, and we didn't want her to. I brought Edward over and introduced him. Mom, this is my boyfriend. We're getting married soon. Mom, you have to get better quickly so you can come to our wedding. A smile appeared in my mom's eyes. She was very pleased with Edward. Edward was also very gentle and patient. Sir, ma'am, don't worry. I'll take good care of Gary. The hospital room became lively again. I never expected Edward to be willing to waste an entire afternoon in a hospital room, keeping my parents and me company. Watching him laugh and joke with my parents, I was a little touched. He was nothing like the rumors said. In fact, he was very, very good to me and had never once lost his temper. When it was time to leave the hospital, my mom shooed my dad and me out of the room. Edward, you stay. I have a few things to say to you. Edward squeezed my fingers. Don't worry. My dad and I stood right outside the door, but we couldn't hear a thing from inside. My dad suddenly spoke up. Gary, is he good to you? Tell me the truth. I nodded. Dad, don't worry. Edward is very good to me. We get along really well. To make my words more believable, I even patted my stomach. I've even put on some weight these past few days. Then I leaned in and whispered in his ear. Edward even gave me the pins to his bank cards. My dad patted my shoulder. Then I can rest easy. Your mom too. A few minutes later, Edward came out. In the car, I couldn't wait to ask Edward, what did my mom say to you? Edward had a mysterious look on his face. It's a secret between me and my mother-in-law. She's my mom, and you're my husband. By extension, I'm one of you guys, so just tell me. Nope, fine. But I was still very happy. I could tell that my parents were happy to see that Edward was good to me. Thank you, Edward. My mom's illness required a lot of money to manage, and with the family bankrupt and creditors constantly showing up, I didn't even want to imagine what kind of hell I'd be living in right now if it weren't for Edward. Don't say thank you. It's what I should do. Gary Vance, you still haven't listened to what I said. I'm not a stranger. You don't have to be so formal with me in the future. I want you to need me. I want to get to know you, to know your real thoughts, but more than that, I just want to be good to you. Looking into Edward's mesmerizing eyes, my heart began to race. Each beat sent a thrill through me. Perhaps this was the beginning of falling in love. But you're so good to me, and there's nothing I can do to help you. Edward gently pulled me into his arms, his large hand stroking my hair. This is what I need you to do. Just stay by my side. I want to wake up and see you, to hold you when I'm tired, to kiss you. That's enough. Every time I see you, my mood improves. Gary, right now, can you feel my heart beating? Edward's chest was warm and solid, and the steady, powerful beat of his heart reached my ears. Then it slammed right into my own heart. So Edward liked me too. This is so nice. Edward and I gradually became inseparable. His leg was almost completely healed. We were both in our prime, and the slightest touch could set off sparks. My happiness index was soaring. Of course, there was still a drunkard in the house who wouldn't leave us alone. Sean would get completely wasted every day and send me a flood of harassing messages. I blocked him, so he started sending them directly to Edward. Edward, at his wit's end, finally sent Sean to a dead-end branch office in the middle of nowhere. Before he left, he came to me one last time. "Gary Vance, how could you abandon me? Please give me one more chance. Okay? I promise I'll do better than him. You can have all my money. Okay? I swear, I'll never lie to you again, or may I die a horrible death." I had realized a long time ago that there was tension between Sean and Edward, that they weren't like normal, harmonious brothers. But I only just now understood why. The Hawk parents had been killed in a car accident orchestrated by their enemies. Edward's legs were injured in the same crash. They hid the news of their deaths from Sean, who was studying abroad. He never got to see his parents one last time and resented Edward for it ever since. When he returned to the country, he ran away from home. Edward felt a bit of guilt towards him, so he indulged him and let him have his way. But he was afraid Sean would do something reckless, so he never explained the real reason for what happened until he had personally taken care of the enemies himself. At that time, Sean had a big temper and was stubborn, refusing to come home. After he had spent all his money out on his own, he met me. My family hadn't gone bankrupt yet. I saw Sean's wild look, his dark red hair, and his explosive temper, like a little lion cub. I used my money to get him into my bed. He served me for 3 years and also scammed a lot of money out of me. Until one day he said he was bored. He had actually always been into women and just wanted to try being with a guy. He found it was just so-so. Gary Vance, oh Gary Vance. You think you can just throw some money around and have a sugar baby? You're still too naive. I'm way richer than you. These last 3 years were just for fun. You were paying me to sleep with you, so why not? Now I'm bored, so it's time to end it. Sean transferred a lot of money to me, but I didn't accept a cent. I knew deep down that I had fallen for him, and I couldn't accept it. Sean, get the hell out. After that, I blocked all his contact information. Looking at the person in front of me, the rebellious spirit was gone. I said coldly, "Sean, you haven't forgotten what happened, have you? Do you really think I could ever like you again?" Sean's face turned pale, and his full, sensual lips lost their color. "Gary, I was young and didn't know what love was. I made a mistake. Can you give me a chance to make it up to you? I'll be twice as good to you. I don't mind being the other man. I'll be better to you than my brother. As long as you say the word, I'm sure my brother will allow me to be in your life. I've regretted it for a long time. I've been alone all these years, and I've missed you a lot." I looked at the ring on my hand. It was a simple, matching band. Engraved on it was a letter, H. The other ring, engraved with an L, was on Edward's ring finger. But it's too late. I stopped liking you a long time ago. The only person I like now is your brother, and I will never, ever like you again. From the moment Sean lied to me, I could never like him again. Edward is very good to me, and I can't betray his feelings. And in these past few days, I've fallen for him too. I carefully traced the letter on my ring. Your brother gets jealous. You shouldn't come looking for me anymore. I've always been someone who loves fiercely and hates just as fiercely. I can pick things up and I can let them go. Love is just a fleeting moment, but it never disappears, it just transfers to someone better. I found out later that the arranged marriage was all Edward's idea. Edward first saw me during that car accident. It was raining heavily that day, and I was on my way to meet Mason and the others for drinks. On the road, I came across the Hawk family's accident. I immediately got out of my car and pulled them out. The Hawk parents were unconscious, but Edward was still awake. I took them to the hospital, paid all the fees, and left. I gradually forgot about it. After all, life is full of new experiences. But because of that incident, Edward remembered me, a good Samaritan who stepped up to help. He tried every way to find out about me, and we had several chance encounters, but we always just passed each other by. I never recognized him until he learned about my family's bankruptcy. He then approached my dad and proposed the marriage, but the choice was entirely mine. If I had refused the marriage, he would have still helped my family with their debts. He would have found another way into my life. But since I didn't refuse, well, his husband delivered himself right to his door. After learning that I had agreed, Edward immediately arranged the wedding, afraid his husband would run away. And as for what Edward and my mom talked about in the hospital room, my mom, Edward, I know who you are. You don't have to lie to me. With your family's background, you could find someone much better. Why my Gary? My mom. If you're just playing around, I'm begging you, let him go. He's a good kid who's been through a lot. Edward, with a sincere face. Ma'am, I'm truly in love with Gary. I promise you, I will only ever love him for the rest of my life. Edward, I will do everything in my power to be good to him, to give him everything. He saved my life, and I will spend my own life being good to him. My mom was very relieved. Late at night, thinking about all this, I couldn't help but wake Edward up. I poked him. Edward, I love you. And you? Do you love this handsome guy with the long legs, slim waist, and great ass? Edward wrapped his arms around my waist and gave my lips a peck. Don't you already know the answer? Honey, will we be happy? I think so. We definitely will be.